Hi, my name is Kevin McDonald, and I'm declaring my independence. Independence from what? Why, negative thoughts and energy, of course. Chief among them, hate, division, and fear. You see, I know that we're all one, and together we can solve any problem, save our planet and each other. Please, join me as we come together as one and choose a better way to be. So now, let's begin with my independence report.
And welcome everybody to my Independence Report for a Monday. We got a crew here today, and we're going to have a really good time talking about what this segment has been all about, which is called Life Between Lives. Let me fill you in just a little bit if you're not aware. Life Between Lives was started by a gentleman by the name of Dr. Michal Newton. He is a hypnotherapist, and over the last until I think he passed 7 or 8 years ago. Until that time, he was doing a lot of hypnotherapy and taking people back and it was all started by accident, and maybe we'll get into that. But he's started doing hypnosis for for past lives, and then he magically transformed into life between lives, so that we get to find out what happens when we die. Nobody really knows, but this is as close as I can figure out is actually true. And we've got, of course, Regen Forsten. He is a life between lives practitioner. Natasha Venter, who was on Martha Norwalk's show yesterday, did a great job yesterday. Thank you. Thank you. She's our psychic medium, who's in house. And Diana Paque, is that correct, Diana?
Pake.
I always get it wrong.
I was wondering that too. Cake?
Cake like cake.
Oh, cake like cake. Okay.
Yeah.
Very good. So Regan, I'll have you, since you spent 2 hours on the phone with her yesterday, I'll have you introduce her and what she does and why we get to talk to her today.
Okay. And Diana can tell you a little bit about herself. Diana is our executive director for the Newton Institute. When Michal passed, we all had to, as he wanted us to. I mean, he created the Institute so his work could be carried on after he passed. And now there's, I don't know, maybe we have around 250 or so. Maybe Diane knows the exact number, but somewhere around there, trained therapists were doing, carrying on the work, the research that Michal started over 40 years ago. So we're, as Diana maybe will share with you, a lot of us took a trip to the other side in the last few months, and Michal was there with a lot of people and kind of giving us some hints and some directions to go. And so we're just trying to figure out how can we let everybody know about this miraculous, life-changing process that's now possible for anybody to experience. Maybe Diana, tell us a little bit about yourself and your background.
I'm a hypnotherapist, and I've been a Newton practitioner. I think I'm about 6 months ahead of Regan in terms of certification. And I practice in the San Francisco Bay Area. And I joined the Newton Institute because I had a client who told me about the book. How do people learn about Michal Newton? Someone usually hands them a book. And so I had a Reiki client, who handed me the book and said, "Do you do this?" And I said, I do past lives. And she said, no, Newton past life, Newton between life. It's like, okay, I better figure out what this is. And so I went on the website, newtoninstitute.org, and found out what it was about and trained. And the Newton Institute is a really interesting organization because we're virtual. We've never been brick and mortar anywhere. We're international. We have about 220 members all throughout the world. And when Michal set up the organization in 2004, he knew that he had to expand beyond himself because way too many people were interested in doing this work. and he couldn't do it all. So his idea was to train people to do this work, and began as a training institute that then expanded into how do we support our members to do this work better, and to be a community that supports each other as well as those who are seeking this work. And so the Newton Institute, as it's currently formed, has been around for almost 20 years at this point. And we have individual sessions with our clients ranging from past lives to between life work. And Regan is right that Michal started this, and it was somewhat accidentally, that he was doing past lives with his clients, and the clients were finishing the life and going between lives and having a profound experience. And so once you're between lives, you're out of a body, and you're able to experience a soul as it is without time. And so it allows you to ask questions and to be present and to do a lot of work that you are not quite as able to do or as easily in a body. And so this work has developed over the past 15, 20 years in a way that helps us as therapists help the client do the journey that they want to do and need to do, and ask the questions they need to ask. So it's very fluid in terms of how we work with clients, but still using a protocol. I think what's interesting, what Regan was mentioning, is that earlier this year, we conducted some research with our members and asked them to do between life journeys with each other to determine the value of LBL, and to be able to see what Michal has to say about where we're going and what we're doing. And we had about 25 people who participated, and almost all of them had a conversation with Michal while they were on the other side. And during that conversation, it was about opening up, broadening our exposure, contacting people, being open to the general public, finding ways for people to know about this connection to the love energy of consciousness that we all connect to when we're in spirit. And so I think we're still compiling the actual results from the data, but there was a general belief that Michal started the process, but he wasn't the end of the process. And we're on a quest now to broaden our exposure and broaden the opportunities for people to connect not only with this work, but connect with consciousness in new and more dynamic ways. I mean, yeah. It isn't about the books, and it isn't about stopping with just doing a journey in the Newton method. Really, the larger journey is that of the soul. And if we are all souls experiencing and manifesting in human form, then we need to learn how and remember how to connect on that spiritual path.
Natasha, did you have a thought?
No, I agree that, this whole thing about our souls is about remembering that we come from love, and that, many of us get so caught up in the physical form that we are, and the personal journeys that we have, and all the trauma that comes from many lives. I mean, people, me working in the school district, it's amazing how many families are so disheveled. And I'm not going to put a judgment on that. It's just, you only do better because you know better. And some people haven't been taught to do better from generations. And so with that, we kind of get caught up in the stories of ourselves. And yet there's a reason why we have these stories. And when we get caught up instead of, knowing that we are the writers of the book, not necessarily the book being written for us, that, it's part of that journey, going back to the moments where we can have love. Because I know witnessing babies coming in, that they come from love, and me witnessing many passing, they go back to that love, and they know that, within reason, it depends on personal beliefs. But those last moments, they get that, they know that. And so with that it's just part of that journey. And if we can tap into it along the way, it's amazing how much lighter our lives are from being into that, the story of the drama trauma to the story of, oh, that's why the drama trauma happened. You know, and if we can get over that hump, it's amazing how much more fluid our life can be within reason.
Yeah.
And I just want to throw in here just a little bit that what I found in reading the books and talking to Dr. Newton, because I did have the opportunity to interview him, that it gives an immense amount of hope and love for all of us, because if we can get the fact that we're not done here, and we can then find out what it is by talking to the council. And I'm just blown away that all you guys got to talk to Dr. Newton himself on the other side. I think that's just extraordinary.
Yeah,
go ahead.
It blew my mind. I wasn't expecting him to be there. I forget how it kind of came up when the facilitator, when I was under, and then we just, you know, suddenly go, well, let's see if Michael's there, and then boom, he was right there. There was they put another chair out on the council, and he came and sat right there. But when I saw him, I never met him. I had never met him personally myself, but you know, just heard of him, seen him in videos and everything like that. But I couldn't. I mean, even now talking about, every time I talk about it, even with Diane today, I get this welling up of emotion of something, like, you know, it just tells me something's there, you know. I mean, it's hard to not get emotional there, but just to see that he's still working on the other side, you know, he's continuing this work and helping us here, you know.
Well, I hate to blow the bubble, guys, that this was orchestrated by them to have you guys come together to do this, so that him and other guides can be there to give you the spark to relighten up what work he was doing, not necessarily the work he was doing, because it's evolved. But it's funny because they're just kind of, I'm hearing them laughing. It's like, guys, don't you get it? That we orchestrated this so that you guys can manage this, so that you guys can get that respark, because that's the jump part. This is part of the jump, because many people need the legalness of science to believe. And so, like, I can walk in the room and do something, and somebody will go, pfft. Somebody will walk in with a PhD in science. It's like, oh, I can listen to them. And so, you know, like I always say, that there's different religions because we all have different languages. Well, there's different brain sets. So we got to all kind of come together and say, this is the path. And if it comes from you or comes from me or comes, you know, wherever. But it was kind of funny because they're laughing because this was totally orchestrated by them to get them. And so that's why he was so available to everybody, because it was like him seeing clients.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, well, who's next? Okay, I'll go there. Oh, who's next? I'll go there. You know, it's like he that's what he did here. That's what he's going to do there, you know, type of thing. Because that's who his core being was, you know, was that part of him to be this scientific spark for us.
Yeah.
Now, what turned me to it and made it just impossible to deny for me is the fact that, and Diana, if you'd speak to this, there have been well over, to my knowledge, well over 30, 40, 50,000 people that have gone through this process and have all done it. And then the stories are remarkably similar, aren't they?
Yes. Michael, in his first book, covered about 7,000 clients in the very first book. And so he had a number of clients of his own. But every year we collect the number, and there are thousands every year. So if we're doing 4,000 a year as a collective, then, you know, over 10 years, that's 40,000. So there is a lot of similarity. There's a similarity in the kind of learning that people have. You know, they come and the stories. We just published the most recent issue of our journal that's called Stories of the Afterlife, and it's on love. And what are people searching for in life? They're searching for connection to love. That's what they're really searching for. So they say, I don't have it in my relationship, or I don't have it, I don't have a partner, or I'm lonely. And what's it about? It's about the disconnect from love. And sometimes it's lack of one's availability to receive love as much as it is to give love. People tend to give, but not be open to receiving. And so it's helping them learn. I've had clients recently who wanted to get home so badly to the afterlife that they were just pushing and pushing. And I had to say to them, just stop and take a deep breath and open up and be ready to receive. That's about receiving rather than pushing and giving. And many of our clients are in life will push harder to make something happen. And this is about being open and receptive to who you are as opposed to what you do. And this work is about working on your being self. Who are you as a being, and how are you functioning as a being? And most of the work we do is with who people are and how they integrate in their own lives and use this manifestation as a human being to advance their soul's journey. So it's really the two perspectives of what do you do in a lifetime and what do you do as a soul. And the lifetime has a projection, has work and lessons, and the soul has work and lessons. And they're two different paradigms that people are working with, and they tend to mix those up. And that's something we can help them straighten out.
Regan?
Yeah, well, I was going to say, for people just listening or listening to this in the future, what we're really talking about now is that there's been a process that's been discovered that's like kind of coming into its own right now, where practically anybody, I think most of us therapists, we have between an 80-something and 90-something% success rate. Somehow this process is very forgiving, even if we're not perfect. The people that want to experience where they go in between lives can actually do it very easily. I think even Diana, when you say that I'm just shocked still how easy it is for people to do this. And, you can get a list of questions before you go. And when we're over there as facilitators, we keep you focused to get your questions answered there. And of course, the biggest question people have over there is, why did I decide to be born? What's my mission? What's my purpose? And I think the biggest thing, if it's only one thing people get out of these sessions, is they realize that they're not alone, that they're here for a reason, that they have reason and purpose, and that everything happening into their life is to help them to learn to be more loving beings. So when they come back from that, I had one client that showed up the other day, came by, and I said, are you listening to your recording? It'll help you to kind of stay in that state. And she says, well, there's a few things in there they told me I was supposed to do, and I don't know how I'm going to do it. She was just a little scared to. I said, well, don't worry about it. I said, just listen to it and you'll get that motivation. So, even though people get direct information like, well, if you change this in your life, this is, whatever, people still have to come back and do the work. It's like, they don't come out of it saints when they're on the other side. They just get more information so they can make better choices and start to realize, I better get to work here. I came down here for a reason. So let me stop, crying about how bad my life is and realize I'm going to learn something from this, and it's a life changer for some people. So, it's good. And especially too, one of my clients recently one of his main thing is he thought he was a mistake, that he shouldn't even be here. That is, he just a mistake. His mom had some affair with some guy and he was born, and she didn't even love him, and he came out of it going, I'm not a mistake. I'm supposed to be here. Wow, that was neat just to see the look on his face when he's realizing, and this guy's like in his 69, I think, and he's finally realizing that, he's here for a purpose. And his purpose was to help other people. They told him that he had the ability to sense other people's problems and have solutions for them. And he's always been in the background. He was always afraid to say anything. And it just gave him some power. Says, wow, I do. And he's realizing he's so smart and intelligent. And he I said, well, they said there's people coming in your life and you're going to be able to help them. So now he's got a purpose and he'll be looking for that reasons to help other people. So, we all have sessions like that just uplift us as well as the clients that we see,
So Natasha, what do you think?
Well, I think it's along the path of amazement that's why I'm doing the work I'm doing, is to do it. It's just I do it in my own way, the way that I was called to do it in my own journey of my own path of my soul. And it's just one of those things that we just do it for the reason. It's as you're saying that, Regan, I was just kind of thinking that, with me and my dyslexia, that, like you guys have read all these books and everything, and I haven't read them. This is all coming from me, this moment. And I was checking in with my dyslexia, talking with it. And I was kind of getting, why are you here? And I said, and it told me that it was part of my soul's journey, that it actually, when I came from that spark, I've talked about this, the greater, the light, whatever that love is. When I came from that was part of my signature of what my soul was. So in every lifetime, my dyslexia came out, but it was coming out in a different way to teach me different lessons that I had to learn. And this time was about learning and trusting my own inner truth of what I was hearing. How was I getting my messages? How was I working with it? Because if I would have gotten everything from TV and all that kind of stuff, and my parents didn't watch that much TV, we listened to a lot of music. So a lot of this was me sitting, being an only child, playing with my toys, feeling tap on my shoulder from all the spirits that were walking through the house. It was one of those things that as you work with things and that kind of thing, that we have these soul journeys, but then they put in these lifetime lessons and experiences. And it's just amazing how, those of us that carry messages, I'm so grateful that you two have the strength to be there to help these people to find this light, because it's amazing that you do find this spark, and I've helped Regan get a little bit more trust in that, and I'm just grateful for all this journey that we're all on, to add love into this journey for people, love for self, because I tell people a lot in my own sessions, they tell me, what is my life purpose? And I say, start out being the capital BE. BEING, just start being, what is life showing you? Do you have people coming to you, talking with you about things? Well, start being interactive with that, start being where you're at. If you get people coming up to in grocery stores to you and just talking to you, maybe you're the spark that needs to be in somebody's life for that day. You're the light. So that's where, we all kind of have this way of bringing them forward. And thank you guys for being there.
Yeah. Well, and it's because, I said this last week, Natasha, too, but one of the reasons us four are talking here today is because Natasha gave me a little counseling on some of my doubts or fears or insecurities I had about offering to help the Newton Institute in ways that I might be able to help them. So I had to kind of get over that. So that's one of the reasons we're all talking about it all happening here, because Natasha had some insight into what maybe I was fighting, so it was, it's good, see. And then Kevin starting this whole thing by having me on his show, and then and then, did you know Natasha before I was on your show?
I knew her just a little bit, just a couple of months, but you see, I have been trying for years to get a connection with the Newton Institute, because I can tell you, I'm sold. I'm a firm believer. It's all true, and I want to do everything within my power to help all of you guys. And Diana, if you tell all of the practitioners, I would love to put them on a podcast. I'd love to talk to them in regards to what they are doing and the work that they're doing, because I honestly believe, and there's a whole story behind it, but I honestly know, I don't believe, I know that this is true. And it was so, but my question to you guys is, so what does Michael want you to do from here? What did he tell everybody?
He told us two big things, and they both relate to each other. One of the biggest ones is that the Newton Institute, which has members all over the world, need to connect with each other as community so we can have energy together. And because we are so distributed around the world, it means that you go to your training and you have your group that you train with, And then you go back to wherever you are, which could be Slovenia, or it could be Madrid, or it could be, Pennsylvania. And so we tend to move out from where we train and then don't connect with each other. And the pandemic has actually brought us together because, it's like,
Yeah, look at that.
one of the questions we asked is, what's the value of the pandemic? Well, the pandemic has brought us together because we have a new tool. In fact, some of our members in the Middle East did not have Zoom until the pandemic because they had a number of expats living there who needed to have access to their home countries. And so Zoom opened up in the Middle East, which allowed them to interact with us. And so we now are moving our members closer together and having group meetings and interaction. So the first is to get the community together so we can learn as a community and we can support each other. This sharing of sessions with each other was something that practically every person who did it said, well, it's been a long time since I've had one of these. I give them all the time, but I never get to experience it. And so this is one of the things that we're starting to do, is to give people opportunities to receive as well as to share.
Yeah.
And the second is to find new avenues to light up our message in the world, to bring it out to people. If people found the books, that's great. Whether they found them via Audible or an audio or the books themselves, that's great. But that's one small teeny avenue, and there have to be others that bring people online and bring them together. Whether we are doing videos or doing more things, we need to send the message out to the world so people can connect. It's all about connection to consciousness.
Podcasts, videos, podcasts.
Exactly.
This is a subliminal message I'm sending you. Podcasts, videos.
Yeah, I was telling Diana, Kevin, about, I said, well, okay, there's no, this is like Natasha saying, not a coincidence that we're all talking today, and that, Kevin, you have such a sweet soul and everything. And I thought, because we don't ever want to impose on anybody, but since you're there, I think Diana and I we could figure a way how you could be, a piece of the puzzle, just like what we're doing now. I mean, I wonder if Susan's listening today. Do you know if she's listening today? Maybe she'll.
I don't know. I haven't checked in with her today. So, okay. She might be, but
if you're out there, Susan, say hi.
Because I know that a lot of her doing hypnosis has helped her out a great deal.
Yeah.
And then, it's those things that come forth. And a lot of times, like what we've worked is, and I'm sure that she wouldn't mind me saying this, that sometimes when she does go through a hypnosis session, she'll come to me and I'll give her the meaning of some of the things that she saw. Yeah, or some of the background great. Of why she saw that. Finish the story off, because sometimes in a hypnotic session, you get the story, but then there's still the body that needs to work through it, the emotions that need to work through it, and that's where I specialize in is the emotions and the mind, and how to work and connect the humanness to the journey of the soul, and that's where I enjoy crossing that bridge for some people. And so there's been some times where I've given meaning to things or the inspiration to just, let's keep going with this and working with this, and how do you manage with this, and sometimes I know that in hypnosis sessions it's more the physical body going through things, yet at the same time though, right now, like with a lot of my meditations, Dragon is coming in. And so we're having a lot of the other sources of inspiration starting to work in. And so that's where sometimes where I kind of can come in differently than what hypnosis can. So it's all those types of things. Mm-hmm. And I know in hypnosis, sometimes you get your other characteristics coming in too. It's not that I'm not saying they don't, but sometimes the soul is in such a journey during that time, and it's such a focused journey that it's not for the other wobbly path that I like to walk sometimes.
Yeah, we have a few bridges to cross, like even hypnosis for a lot of people still, the people that don't understand what it is, it's still got a little bit of a woo-woo, or it's not like, and so education needs to be done with people. Maybe in some of our shows, we're doing that too, just about what hypnosis is, and just to let people know it's the most natural phenomena. People are in and out of hypnosis all day long, and they just don't realize it, and all we do is we just help them reach a certain state of relaxation on cue, rather than it just happening on the day, throughout the day. Like it's like going to sleep, and we just kind of we get them almost asleep, but we keep them on that threshold, just awake enough where they don't fall asleep. And that's where it seems like the subconscious can really be contacted. So it's a natural, normal thing, but because of Hollywood, because of fears and different things, I'm just surprised nowadays at how many people still don't know about hypnosis and that it's a natural phenomena that we do,
I think also people are concerned about that they can't do it, that they can't go into trance. Practically every client I have who I'm talking to prior to a session will say, how will I know that I can do it? How do I know I'm not just making this up? And there's always an emotional component of being in a trance state, that you feel something.
Yeah.
And that we do work to figure out how to get the conscious mind offline. I mean, that's the point of relaxation, is so that the conscious mind is able to relax and sit on the side, and that you can have the experience of the journey. And most clients are able to do that. And if you work at the pace of the client and they feel comfortable, then they begin to relax and to trust and to go into trance. And that may take 2 sessions, and it may take 5 sessions. It really depends on the client, and you have to work at their speed and support them as they learn how to do it for them. I mean, the books show perfect sessions. Most people who experience sessions may have a bump here and there. And how do they deal with the bumps? It isn't that it's, that they're being stopped. It means that their path may have something come up that they need to deal with before they go on to something else. And so you deal with the bump. But the stories tend to be perfect. They show beginning, middle, and end. And most people's journeys have little hills in them, at least.
Yeah, I tell people if they know how to go to sleep and wake up, they can do hypnosis. Because they go through those stages there.
Well, I'm amazed at the work that you guys do, because the typical session lasts multiple hours, correct?
Can be very long sometimes.
Yeah, most of if you're doing a between life session, it's going to be between 3.5 and 5 hours.
Yeah.
And a standard past life with my clients is about 2.5 hours.
Yeah.
And
same with me.
I do a preliminary session for people who've never done any kind of trance work, so they can experience it without the pressure of a past life and feel that they failed if they couldn't go into it. And so we do an assessment, a skill assessment, because this really is about skill development and comfort level. And those are about 1.5 hours. So, and the question is, wow, who can sit through a 4-hour session? What if I have to pee? And I tell them, tell me if you need to do that. Your body will wake you up, like first thing in the morning when you're wanting to go back to sleep and you can't because your body is telling you need to go do it, that you get up, you do it, and you go back to sleep. Same thing with a trance. You're still in a trance state. And so if it's 4 hours, 4.5 hours, it's time is irrelevant to the client, because you're in a space without time.
Yeah.
I have a question. Natasha, have you ever been under hypnosis?
I have, in a way. Now with me, I've known this since very young, and I went to counseling when I was very young, and he would try to put me in hypnosis, but for me, I go there so easily that I'm not really in hypnosis. I may get a chance to maybe go into, it's like a group meditation where you kind of it gives me a quicker path to get there. But for me, I can't really say that I'm going through hypnosis. It's just more or less me just going right there. It's
Yeah, and I think that's what mediums do. They just like where we have to like with for me to see something from the other side, I have to go through this protocol of going deeper and deeper and get in hypnosis. But the mediums, they're already kind of they just have to go tiny this far to the other side where we have to go like this far, you know. So it's like she's just able to get there. And I wanted to ask before I forget, Natasha, I wanted to ask you, like for mediums, like when you're having issues in your life, can you just go there and get your answers, or would it be more helpful for you to go to another medium? In other words, can you see your issues and everything yourself like you can see for other people, or would you have to have another medium help you?
well, actually, yes and yes. So sometimes I can get like 85 to 90% of the picture. But like with my ankle healing, I had an ankle thing and I've done all the work. I know the story of it. I know everything. There's something still attached and it's just not showing me what it is. And then my friend tapped in and says, well, you got an entity attached to it. And I go, oh, okay, because it was kind of cloaking itself. And that was that 1% that I needed to release it, but it took somebody else seeing it because it was cloaking from me. Or like the other day, it's like I've been so busy, doing things. And I was wondering why I wasn't walking outside. And she goes, well, because you have hyenas out there. I'm like going, oh, okay. Because my fairies were kind of getting disoriented. So that's a whole nother story. So it's like, yes, that's the thing is that I have an understanding that we cannot walk this journey alone. Nobody can see everything. Nobody can see 100% of it. And so that's why we have each other's light workers with us. And that's why we piggyback on other things, because I can, like I said, I can get the whole picture of why, like those 3 weeks that I was going through something at work, I was getting, 99% of the picture. But it took me almost afterwards to get the full story, the collector. I had to collect everything, but during it, I was getting it. So I can say yes and yes to that question.
Well, Regan, I think what we should do, since Natasha doesn't drink and she's not allowed to do that, I think what we should do is put her under hypnosis and see what happens. Wouldn't that be fun?
I don't know. She might start a fire somewhere. Is it Cleveland just went up in smoke? Oh my God, it was our fault.
Well, I don't know Cleveland that well anyway.
Yeah, well, it's interesting, and I'm so glad too. See, what I appreciate about the show too, though, I did some research on mediums online yesterday, and I found out there's an association of like we have our Newton Institute kind of all together, but there's an association for mediums too that people subscribe to hold up the standard of mediums, and they all have certain values that they go to. I didn't know if do you know of other associations or anything like that? But
I know of groups, but I don't know of associations. Now, this is the thing that people have to realize, that me and technology, it's just been in the last year that I've actually taken the cork off of it. So I have expanded myself in every way since actually COVID started. It has been, as much as people have been going in their homes, I have been expanding outside my home. So with that now I'm not blowing up my computer. I'm not blowing up my phone. I'm not blowing up things because I used to short circuit things with technology. So with that now I'm able to do my research and do my work, because there's been such a wall for me, partly with my dyslexia. It's been hard for me to even type in what I wanted to look for. So with that I've kind of taken down this huge wall that's been slowing me down quite a bit.
Dan and we were talking last night about a lot of us therapists are at the age where we're, everybody jokes about grandpa can't, can't check email, because he doesn't know how to do it. So we're, in a way, even us older folks now, we're getting part of it. We're actually having to, it's like you have to do that or you're left behind.
Mm-hmm.
But that's opening things up too. I mean, that opens up to the world. So if we only have 215 members around the world. There are large parts of the world who don't have anybody that they can go to. And now, because there are more people working online, it means it doesn't matter where you live. It's just the inconvenience of time zones. You know, I have a client right now in New Delhi, and so we have to figure out what's a good time zone to meet in. You know, who's up late and who's up early. Yeah, but that's your biggest hassle, is figuring out, you know, when you meet. But it means that more people have access to more if they're open to receiving it.
Yeah.
And if we're open to being able to provide it.
Question for the both of you with the Institute. It's been around for 20 years. Are you continuing to get new members, new therapists, or is everybody getting older? How is that going?
We have new members. We are doing a training in the fall. The last year has been challenging for us because our training for new members has always been on the ground. And so during 2020, we didn't do any trainings, and we're in the process of retooling right now, and they're going to offer a fully online training in the fall that maintains the same quality and standards. Our members we do have some young members. Our population, there's a rather substantial older population, not just because they've been members for a long time, but there are people who've come in, like Regan and I, after doing other things in our lives. So it's the people who have life experience who are now taking it to the next level. But we do have a number of members who are in their 30s and 40s, as well as those who are quite senior. And most of our members are pretty engaged. We have a goodly contingent in their 40s and 50s who are very engaged and working. And we have a number of people who are waiting for us to start our trainings in because they want to train with us.
Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome. All right, who wants to speak next?
Well, I'm noticing we talk about Dolores Cannon on here sometimes too. She was a contemporary of Michal Newton's back then, doing same research, but I guess they didn't know about each other for a while, and then they found it was just more added more validity to both of their researches because they were both finding the same thing happening. And I've taken some of the courses from them, and they're just starting to do it online now, and they do a mixture of videos of training. And then they have a few days of live like Zoom things where everybody can get together and ask what they didn't understand and everything. And it worked. It seemed to work really well. So I think, as Diane is saying, I think we can put together something that'll work, especially if they have people they can talk to as they're going through the training when they get stuck, about how to deal with certain things.
I mean, one of our biggest challenges is Michal did not believe in doing anything online. But if you think about when he was active, what was online? The phone. So,
yeah,
I mean, Zoom didn't exist. There was no voice over IP. So I once talked to his wife about it, and I said, what would Michal have done, in this environment with Zoom? And she said, he would have screamed bloody murder. And then he would have stomped around the house, and I would have never heard the end of it for months. And then you would see him showing up and doing something online because you would have to. And she told me at that point that he saw something like this happening. He saw an event where we would need to be in the world, and that we would need to have the flexibility to be out there and to move ahead. And it wasn't going to be him. He didn't want us to be stuck with his protocol from 1986. That was 1986. That was a starting point. He wanted us to have a dynamic way of approaching this so that we could be dynamic with the people who need what they need now, in the way that, and present it to them in a way that they can receive now. And so he wanted us to be dynamic and creative as long as we adhered to the qualities and core values. So as we're redesigning our training, we're looking at what are the core concepts and core values of his work that we're training people in those core values so that they understand how to work with a client, what's important for them to know, what's important for the client and supporting of the client in their work, and what's important in our research so that we can validate what we find and what we know, so that we continue his value of having research to back up what we do. And all of those are part of our core values now that are leading us into new ways of training. And so it's sort of like, if you think back in the 60s with the Ecumenical Council, where Catholics would never talk to a Presbyterian because God knows what would happen.
Yeah.
If you went into that church, oh my God, you might get, something might happen to you. And it's the same thing now as we're looking at people who have gone through other trainings and other spiritual practices of how we can join forces and help people expand their capacities to work with others, and how we can certify people who've gone through other trainings so that we can have them follow our core values in their work if they choose to identify as us, with us.
I had a story, and this is not to say anything negative about the Catholic Church, because I think it's wonderful the people that follow that, but it's just to show how things have changed. Because I was in line for my first communion, and we were having to be all, shoulders back, and they'll teach us how to stand and everything going in. And the little girl in front of me to the nun said, my friend is a Protestant. And the nun went, oh, I'm so sorry for her. She's going to go to hell, and wow, and I was first grade, and I had remembered that. And so because, the way the mind works when you're that young and somebody of authority says something, your mind tends to look at that as a truth, So for the longest time, even into my adulthood, there was some kind of thing in my subconscious there that was thinking that Protestants were somewhat less than Catholics. But now you wouldn't find, I doubt if you'd find that anywhere, and that was just something, but that just shows how consciousness changes. And hopefully we can just feel, can't you, right now, that we're in a global consciousness change. And Natasha, I watched, oh gosh, it was all was mediums, and it's also on, it's not the Surviving Death one where they have a lot of mediums, but it's like, I've died, now what? Or something like that.
Yeah.
And there were the person that did the show. It's long, so it's a lot to listen to. But he asked the same question to a whole lot of different mediums, and he gets pretty much the same answer. And it's all about kind of like what we're doing and everything. So you can just see all of that's out now. It's becoming more mainstream, and it's hopefully, I think the medium, and because of TV, with the Long Island medium and the Sylvia Brown, I guess she's passed away now.
Yeah,
I think.
she has.
John Edwards.
John Edwards, and we have several that are out there, and it's amazing how working with that skill and we have had some wonderful people be the front leaders to break the ice for us that are following behind, and that's the thing is that we're all waking up this intuitive sense of ourselves, and there's just some of us that are differently attached, because I know I'm not just a medium. That's why I'm a personal awareness coach, because it's about doing the personal work after those messages. So it's that balance. But I'm grateful that Regan, that you're waking up to, because there is something about bringing us all together, because we're all doing the same work. It's just coming at it from different angles, and you can't make a circle unless you come from it at a different angle, and we're all coming together because we're at this really big crosshairs of how we're going to walk through this new awakening that we're coming into.
And I like what you just said, because some of the, I should suggest more to some of my clients that when they found these things from the other side of changes that they would be good for them to make in their life, sometimes I'll offer my services, but I think I'd have probably better results if I had them try to seek out somebody for their particular issue, maybe even other than me. If they want to come to me, fine. But just to show that their importance, that now that they know these changes, they might need a coach, just even a regular life coach or something to help them to establish better habits and things.
Exactly. Because it is about doing the walk forward. And in order to do something different, you have to put something different in place of it. And there's that walk, and how can you practice that to do better? It's kind of like my husband who got sober. I knew that in order for him to quit drinking, he had to replace it with something else. And so what was legal for him to be able to do that with, and so it's that supporting that journey in helping, because I'm going to say, waking up in the morning, it's really easy to fall back into old habits. It's called being human. It is really called being human.
And that's where hypnosis can help too for people listening. I mean, it's very good for helping to get into the subconscious to just change bad habits. Some people have come in for smoking. I've not been a big one to tackle that, but I know some other therapists have from school even. And they'd have people come in that just smoke 2 or 3 packs a day that were just horrible smokers. And one session they quit and they hadn't smoked in 20, 30 years. Other people, there was one case where you're trying to stop, right?
I've had great success with that, Regan. It's worked out really well for me. Thank you very much.
Well, we'll have to do something about that. But we had one lady at the Hypnosis Motivational Institute. She was getting free therapy there, but she came in. And on the 51st time she came there, she said she was going to quit because she still was smoking. And then the therapist asked her, and he says, well, when you first started, how many, she was 2 packs a day. And he says, how many cigarettes are you smoking a day now? And she had to hesitate a minute. She goes, well, maybe 3 cigarettes, and he was saying, okay, well, that's a huge improvement, 60 now down to 3. So everybody's different, some people, this is this piece of cake. It's easy. And other people it's not, But where Brian Weiss, who's kind of like the father of this, he's kind of just like Michael did the Life Between Lives. Brian Weiss with the Many Lives, Many Masters. That's been bridge work to get people to read Michael's books, even where Michael takes it further than that. But he didn't even believe in past lives for so many years, even after he was doing this with people. But he says, I don't know what it is. But when people go to a past life and they can see where a problem started, and then they come back and their problem disappears, something's good about this. So he continued to do it until one day, one of his clients gave him a message from his son that had died. And they told him something only he would know. And he talked about this on Oprah. And he goes, Oprah, that's when I became a believer that this past life thing is real, So, it's different. I just think people there's so many videos, there's so many books now, there's so much information, so much research has been done on there about past lives, about that we're more than just this. And if people are really, want to know, there's the information's out there. You just start doing the research, and then ask God, the Holy Spirit, Jesus, whatever you want, to just kind of open you up a bit, and they will, So.
Well, it's interesting that because the typical reading, or excuse me, the medium will be talking to somebody who's passed crossed over, and it would be a relative or somebody that they could verify information with. What Michael's work is so different about is the council, is to go in front of the council, which are beings that are far superior to us as far as intellect and stuff, and they're there to help us with a bunch of different things. And it's hard for somebody that is, and although let me ask Natasha, when you are talking to somebody and you're talking and they're asking you about their life purpose, and where are you going to get that information? Where does that come from for you? You have any idea?
I can say that it's kind of a call to collective, I guess, is the language that I pull from so many sources of guides and their guides, my guides, angels, it depends on who comes forward to speak. And sometimes it's 4 or 5, 10 different beings that speak within, the 15-minute session, or however long the session is. So I don't really attach to who it is, because I know that my team, the guides that I have and the gatekeepers that I have, they won't let anybody else in that's not of light. So I just relay the messages that I get. So I'm just going to call it the collective of the good, that whoever is here to give me, because I can say it is the angels, it is their guides. Sometimes it's a father, sometimes it depends on who's coming. I've had sessions where that I may not be speaking with the person because they may just have passed and they're not able to be available, but there's an angel that will be the messenger back and forth for them, and give that message of hope for the person who's sitting with me.
So now a question for you, for you two specifically, because what I get out of Dr. Newton's books is that there are no angels. Okay, I'm going to get on a soapbox here a little bit, because we're all equal. We're all at different levels of evolution, and there are some of us that have been around for a lot, but we're all made from the same stuff. So we're all equal. We're all the same. Is that am I incorrect in my interpretation of the work that you guys are doing, or are there other entities? Are there angels? Are there devils? Are there witches and all that kind of stuff that are out there? Any idea?
What I find is that when you're working on the spiritual plane, a lot of times you're working with whatever the paradigms are, the languages that the client has. So if the client thinks in terms of anointed ones, or thinks in terms of angels, they're apt to hear from angels and see angels. If I had someone the other day who is very involved in Alcoholics Anonymous and saw a panel, an AA panel, and someone who was a member of AA who he thought was kind of like the god of AA, and was talking to him as the voice of consciousness. How that manifests isn't as important as the message and where it's coming from.
Yeah, perfect.
And so the paradigm, my paradigm of a counsel and guides, my client didn't get because it wasn't his and it didn't make sense to him. Dr. Newton didn't believe in those because he was not applying religious modeling against a spiritual space, because he wasn't being religious and saying it has to be this or it has to be that. So he never applied good and bad and judgment, which angels and say devils and angels for, there wasn't good and bad, because that's a human religious interpretation. And he avoided that purposefully to move away from a religious model of thought.
And I want to make it clear too, that for me, angels, like I know Archangel Michael as a angel that has cowboy boots on and sits at the beach and wears a tank top. So for me, I'm not putting anybody on a pedestal at all. So for me, when I say angels and fairies and stuff, it's kind of like calling us humans or Native Americans, or it's just a name to put it in for that category that they choose to be called. And so there's no better than or less than. It's like different star people, it's like you have different clans of the star beings, so it's just a name for the level of who I'm getting the information from, more than it is, oh, they're the angels that are on a pedestal. That's the last place that they want to be. They're down here in the trenches with us. They want to be here to help us. They're just part of the guide system, the greater than, the council, so that's where I want to make it clear for me in my language is that when I'm talking about the fairies, they're just the workers on the planet here to help, weed the garden sometimes. It's like they're part of the system. They're just part of the collective of the system. No greater than, no less than us. We just have a lot of supporters, us being in the physical form, because a lot of us get stuck in the old stories.
Yeah,
instead of being lightened in. And so they're trying to help us. This is the reason why you're here. This is what we're doing. And so they're the whisperers in our ears to help us move forward. And I have an understanding that the dark ones have just as much help sometimes as light ones do. It depends on what journey they're on with us.
Yeah, I kind of look at it like, almost like, I don't know if semantics is the right word. It's just that in order for us to communicate, we put labels on everything. But basically, what we find when people get to the other side, it's just a benevolent, loving presence of some soul that's there to help them, and however it wants to manifest sometimes will be, like I say, I had a few Catholic people and it was angels, they saw wings even, and others it was just energy beings, and others it was relatives that had passed on or people they knew. But the main thing is the message. It's when they're there, it's the love. It's an all-encompassing kind of love where when you experience it, you just know that this is a good thing and these people are there to help you, So it's just like what we do, like what we do now. I mean, even not putting any of us on a pedestal, but we've just done some work and we have some knowledge that some other people don't. So what we do is we reach our hand down to pull them up. But if we look above us, there's someone above us pulling us up.
Exactly.
It's like we're all in this chain of trying to learn more about the big picture. So, yeah, I mean, I've had one person, it was their traditional, he said, "Oh my God, it looks just like God, with the long beard and the robes and everything, And I've had others like Natasha there that had said like someone just shows up and, I forget who it was, but it was one teacher. They said, "Oh my God, he's wearing swim shorts and something," and so I think it's just, they're just unpretentious over there. And that's the thing that makes this feel so real when people have it, as they say, I just felt love. I just felt like my best friend just came by and is helping me. And the whole time in this, but I've not had any, and I don't know if Diana's had it. I've not had any that I would say were negative, where people came out of it. It was nothing. It was just always positive. It's always a step up for people,
Well, guys, we've been doing this for a little over an hour now. So
already,
yeah, and so now that I've got you all on video and audio. Where do we go from here? Because let me tell you what my commitment is. My commitment is 4:00 every Monday night, Life Between Lives, here on my Independence Report. That will continue indefinitely. I want you to be part of it, Regan, Natasha, always. Diana, at your convenience, whenever.
yeah.
Or if you'd like to join our little entourage, that would be awesome. If you've got a bunch of other folks that would like to chime in, we can do as many as 10 people at a call. We can do all kinds of stuff to kind of lighten and enlighten people as to what is actually going on. So I'll leave it to you guys. Where do we go from here?
See you next Monday.
Okay. Yeah, I think. Well, I'll be being in touch with Diana more, and we'll see. Because thanks, Kevin, for that offering that. Because even today, even if nobody was listening today, but we know people are going to listen to this in the future because it's online and people will download it and watch us and everything. So it's funny because I'm thinking I could be. Someone looks at this in 10 years, and I'm up there with Michal somewhere, and people will be listening to this, so we don't know, but at least we're each doing our part right now, and I think even today, each of us has probably gone another notch up in our awareness, just even doing this together, like 4 people getting together, talking about God. It's great. Oh, there's Veronica. Do you see that on your screen, Diana, too, that Veronica just chimed in? And there's her picture and everything there. Oh my gosh. Thank you for letting us know you're out there, Veronica. And we're every day, at 4:00, right, Kevin? Every Monday
at 4:00, and we'll do it as long as we can. I still want to put Regan. I still want you to put Natasha in under hypnosis.
Well,
just for fun.
See, I'm thinking of my expertise, and as much as I just get such a good feeling about Diana. She's already helped me with a number of things, to look at things a little different, things I want to incorporate. I might have a session booked for tomorrow, but she just broke her tailbone. She just called me, said she fell off a bike. So I'm going to have to move it. I just said, well, let me know as soon as you get some help. We'll just reschedule, And it was a client of mine that I helped get over with regular therapy. get over some PTSD, and she's doing so good right now. She's just her energy is just beautiful, like an angel. You know, I couldn't wait to do a Life Between Life with her, but I'll have to wait on that. But yeah, we're Diana is really helping so much get us all organized, and I'm hoping to do what I can in my part. And maybe this is the seed for beginning something much greater. So thanks, Kevin.
Oh, no issue. I enjoy, you have no idea how much I enjoy these conversations. Well, Natasha does, because she knows a lot. But
and I would be glad to go and have a session with either one of you and see where we go, because it's,
okay, we'll talk about that.
Yeah,
that would be fun.
Because I've had 2 mediums in the first session I did was a medium from Australia. He's one of our guys, Diana, and it was the quickest, fastest session I ever had. It was so funny because here I am new, and I got this our protocol of going through this. So I'm looking at the pages, he's going under, and he's under deep, and he goes, Regan, I'm already there. And I went, oh, okay. So I had to go forward about 10 pages.
That's what I find too. It's like I do a meditation with someone, and it's like, okay.
Yeah. So
I work with a lot of healers, and I always have to ask them as I'm starting to work with them, do you go into trance by yourself? Are you able to take yourself in? And let's have a signal that once you're there, you can tell me. So I'm not wasting my time and your time and getting in your way while you're going in. You could just give me a signal, and then we could do the work.
Yeah.
Because that's annoying to you, and I don't know what I'm doing then.
But the thing is, he learned, Natasha, though, there was one thing he had a question about, and we talked this before, Natasha, and it was about, he was having trouble telling people kind of word for word or exactly what he saw, because he knew it was going to be unpleasant for them what he was seeing. And so they told him, not your job, it's, to censor anything. Tell them what you see, and then it's there. You're taking away their experience with having to deal with what you tell them, And so he just went, okay, I got it. And so it made him more brave, to just do his work. So that's what he got mainly out of the session. So it was good.
Well, and I find that when somebody can help my brain to slow down, because many times it's like, there's been times where I've tried to meditate and Jesus even told me to give up. So, so it's one of those things that sometimes it's nice to have someone. That's why I do better in a collective meditation than I do on an individual meditation, because my brain I'm connecting all the time. So for me to slow down and just kind of go, okay, here's one path. It's kind of like me reading a book at the end of the day. So
yeah. Well, Veronica, there, see what she just said. That's nice. Thanks, Veronica.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Good. Yeah.
She's a sweet person. She's such a sweet person. She's doing a class with me to awaken her intuitive gifts. So thank you, Veronica, for letting me say that to you about, because she's amazing. I've known her for over 10 years with Sue. So she's done amazing work herself.
That's good. That's good. We're all doing that. All right. Well,
thanks. So Diana, will you be here next Monday?
I will be here next Monday. I have a client at 1:00 for a past life. So, but I will be here at 4.
Oh, very
okay. Super. Okay.
We thank you.
It was great talking about. We can, just figure up a topic and go for it. And
by the way, I wanted to ask. I know that you don't know her, Regan, but is Dominique Lobb still working with you guys? Do you know? Diana, do you know that name?
I know that she was on our roster as of last year. I don't know if she currently is, but she was at least up until December.
Yeah, because I did a past life with her in 2003. It was pretty interesting. Yeah. So anyway, that was a long time ago. So anyway, Natasha, what have you got to say for yourself, young lady? And we want to hear it now.
That as we're walking through these crossroads and things are just feeling so out of sorts, I just want everybody to know, kind of go back to just feeling love and knowing that It's as simple as being, and just start trying to do the walk, trying to do the talk, and just start being you, because that vulnerability is such a gift once you just start being yourself and trusting there is a greater reason out there for what we're walking through. So if you'd like to have a session, you can reach me at angelicclarifications.com.
Very good.
And
Diana, go ahead.
You can see right on the screen there, visit theafterlife.com. Some great videos on there to kind of, even a session, you can see a person going through a session to get a feel for what it's like. And there's a free book on there right now, Reincarnation is Real. All you have to do is just fill out the thing in the back, and then within a day, when I check my messages, I'll send you a free ebook. If you want to have a session, I was going to say, even Veronica, is she up in Washington where you are, Natasha?
No, she's not. She's
Where is she?
Idaho. Okay. No, I forgot where you're at, sweetie.
I was going to say, if she, she's up there, she might find, if she goes to the newtoninstitute.org, there's a list of all the therapists in the country. But now that we're starting to do this online, that Veronica, I could hook you up with Diana here, because she's got it down. She's going to be teaching me, but she's far ahead of me on this. She's got people all over the world, and having, I'm guessing, an 80-90% or better success rate.
Yep, Idaho.
Yeah. So, but how can they get a hold of you, Diana?
I'm at sfbayregressions.com.
What is it again?
SF, San Francisco,
Oh.
sfbayregressions.com.
Okay, sfbayregressions.com. Oh, look, Veronica says sounds great. So maybe she'll get a hold of you, and I'm sure you have a great session with her. And then, Veronica, if you do, we have to maybe, well, if you're not shy, we'll have to have you on the show, and you can talk about what your experiences was, or what, if it's not too personal, or just chime in or anyway. That'd be great, wouldn't it? Mm-hmm. That'd be great. Okay, good. Well, I will see you next week.
You wait a minute. You took charge and everything. Sorry. If you took charge,
that's
like
right. Hey, Kevin, tell them about your shows during the week.
Nah, they can figure that out all by themselves. But I did want to give Diana, since this is her first time on the show, a soapbox to be able to say to our audience whatever you'd like them to know.
Oh, whatever I'd like them to know. All of life is a journey. It's all lessons. And I love the being message. I had someone say to me at one point, remember that you're a human being, not a human doing. Mm-hmm. And when I get too wrapped around myself, I ask myself, am I a human being or a human doing today? And if I'm a human doing, I need to refocus. Mm-hmm. So most of what we struggle with is the doing. Am I doing okay? It's really just stop and focus on who you are and your core self. And most of this work is about being more comfortable in our core selves, not so much in what we do, because doing is an outward activity, but really, how are you comfortable with you, and how open are you to receiving love? And as we have experienced in this work, it's all about love. It's all about receiving and being surrounded by the love that actually is all here. It's just how open and available are we to receive it as well as to give it. Most of us struggle with giving, but we probably struggle more with receiving. And so being open, being yourself. When I was on my journey between lives last time, I was told, let your light shine so others can shine as well. Mm-hmm. We all are, when we shine our lights, we give people the opportunity to shine theirs, and we give other people courage. And we learn through each other, and we learn that our light is as bright as anybody else's, and it doesn't have to be brighter. It just needs to be ours. And we just need to express our own light. So thank you.
You are delightful.
Thank you.
Thank you for joining our little team and stuff. Natasha Venter, again, they want to get a hold of you.
angelicclarifications.com. 2 C's in the middle and an S at the end.
Now you confuse me.
Anyway. I can do that well.
Regan, visit theafterlife.com. My independence report. I've got a new website that's in the process of being done right now. So we'll see. But you guys have a wonderful day. Thank you all for being here.
Thank
This has
you.
been a lot of fun.
Thank you.
Regan, anything else?
No, you can run the credits.
Have you thought about becoming a director?
Hey, and thanks for listening to this episode all the way to the end. Hey, pretty cool. Hey, don't forget to follow us so you can receive regular updates and new posts. And remember, take care of each other because each other's all we've got. See you next time on My Independence Report.